Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, we are discussing, or we're titling it, Terrifying Technological Treasures this time. So I was glad, I was pleased that I got to the triple T in there. Delicious, delicious. But
scratch the itch and super tasty.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, so if anybody bothers listening to the front, maybe that's we'll see, but that might be the comment of the thing. Scratch the itch, it's pretty tasty or something, whatever that was.
Itchy tasty.
Itchy tasty, itchy tasty. You have to do it twice. Itchy tasty, itchy tasty.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Yep.
So,
yes.
That's tentatively the comment for this time. You'll have to watch the whole thing to know for sure. But one of us is on a time limit, trying to be responsible. So
who's that loser?
anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this. We're doing Dan's introductions and announcements. It's back to me as doing first, and then it'll go Dan, and then Skrat. So I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads. That's innofplanarcrossroads.com or the IOPC.com. Either one of those works. You can check us out on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our PayPal, Locals, or Patreon. Any of those places allow you to get a hold of us, but also support us on those support ones. And that gets you access to the things that we make during this are planned to be, assuming that interest is there, they're planned to be for release in a printable form so that you can just print them off and take them, bulk them out, and play them if you want to. Just kind of do time skips if you want to just play the parts you want to. Anyway, either way works, but it's meant to be a starter for you to get your juices flowing on those different creative endeavors. So that's the plan there, and that's me. I don't have anything else going on right now for the Inn of Planar Crossroads. So Dan.
Hey everybody, can you hear me? We lost Adam for a second, but hey everybody, it's Dan from Avenue Studios. You can check us out on YouTube, live streaming Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find all our links on avenuestudios.media. Currently, we're running a campaign called Eldamon the Gatekeepers using a Battles U bestiary from Roll for Combat. So we'd love to see you in the chat for those. You can shape the story through your chats. Somebody almost died as of the last time before recording this, and a chatter saved them, so we need you. Love to see you there.
So the chatter saved him.
Skrat. Bought a hero point because that's the only way he was gonna roll the 1 on the death. Bought a hero point and you spent it on that. It was scary.
Chat came in clutch. Words I never thought I'd hear.
I'll shout it. It was Xania, of course.
Oh yeah.
She's the best.
Does that mean it's my turn?
Yep.
I guess.
I'm Skrat from Squirrel Plays over on YouTube, making videos about storytelling shenanigans like character building, world building, plot hooks, interesting things like that. To tell a better story, no matter your medium. But naturally, TTRPGs have a lot of bleed over in that area, so I was pulled into the TTRPG community and been enjoying it. But that also means I get to do TTRPG reviews now, as well as play some on stream and develop them. Who knew? So that's fun. This is going to be out from today. Or no, like a month and a half or something. So I have no idea what'll be on my channel by the time this video drops, because I cannot plan more than one video ahead at a time. So there will be a Tales from Elsewhere review. I do know that's coming up because his Kickstarter is going to be launching on a date of which I totally know what is. So
Fair enough.
So that'll be fun. It's post Gen Con when which
that's the beginning of August.
Month. Yeah, so
yeah, it's usually like
August 1st. That Kickstarter might, it's not just look real quick. I got it right
We'll do
here.
the Googles.
Let's see. Gen Con's on there. Come on. Oh, September 1st is when his Kickstarter goes live. So yeah, this will be out by then. So
Yeah.
when you're watching
just in
this,
time.
go back the Tales from Elsewhere Kickstarter, which starts on September 2nd, technically. So do that.
Yeah.
Tell him I sent you.
Well, I think we're
fun
doing
game.
Sleuth Timber, if I remember right, or something like that, for espionage. I'd have to look again. So maybe Peter will come and
Investigate
do
blood
that.
oilers.
Blood Oilers. It's always Blood Oilers.
Or no, investigate. You could have all these weird murders you got to figure out, and it's the left-handed Kentucky Sawbones, man.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
cool.
like in a 1920s setting.
Yeah, we could do it. I mean, not to plan during an episode, but because it's Cthulian, so
Yeah.
investigation, alt history.
Yeah. It's been funny because all of the months have kind of been bleeding into the next month. So it wouldn't be out of character to investigate, do paranormal investigations in a Sleuth Timber. I got to make sure that's correct, but that's I think it is. I mean, I can make sure myself. I can do the diligence thing too. Skrat.
Hooray for digital calendars. Then you can just pull them up.
Actually, it's a Word document, but it's like
It's still digital.
it is Sleuth Timber. So we may carry over
It is,
these
okay.
investigation-y type things. Which this one has been kind of
That'd be fun.
investigation-y too. So, just a lot more action. Because it's Metroidvania. But that's Skrat. And also his shout out for that coming up. Which leads into our shout out. Levi's shout out. Which is this time Quests and Quills. It is someone I found recently because I looked at a diorama he did for Trench Crusade, which is grimdark, appropriately so. So you can check him out. He's got mainly miniature painting and the terrain stuff that he does. And he also does something with kids and storytelling and introducing them to that. But that's on his main website, so I'm not sure if he does anything with that on his actual YouTube. You'd have to check that out. But that's our shout out, which means we're done with Dan's introductions and announcements. We're done with Levi's shout out. It's time for Councils of Kane as we discuss terrifying technological treasures. Pull up your chair around the hearth to do so and grab your preferred beverage. Skål.
School.
Just drink my imaginary drink.
Alternatively, you could just get 2 drinks next time.
Or I could not be 2/3 done with it when we start recording.
Yeah, that's true.
We are
Alright.
talking about playing imaginary games, so yeah, you're fine.
This imaginary drink, huh? So good.
So good.
All right. Well, Dan is actually going to have to clear out soon, so we're going to let him talk about the things that he has for, the ideas he has for items in this universe. We usually do 3 items. It may be kind of fudgy a little bit this time, simply because of the nature of Metroid and how you get different things. But one of those we already know is the suit, and this is probably a suit that everybody has on, but not everybody's you're gonna probably have to pick and choose who gets what upgrades, because there's only going to be a limited amount of upgrades. That way you can keep roles kind of similar, kind of differentiated. So I'm gonna put that suit on there. What you got, Dan?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have the suit upgrades for sure. I think what I'll throw out specifically for me, I like is some kind of bio interface stuff, because we kind of talked about it a little bit with the monsters. So you can upgrade your suit by finding stuff in the tech I thought it'd be cool if you could also upgrade yourself in some ways from the monsters you face, which we are now saying are the copies that have degraded. Is that right? Yeah, that word, you can tell. To the point that they're all a mess. So I like the idea. I didn't have any specifics, so feel free to take it and run with it. But the idea that these things would grant you either access to places or new abilities, of course, at the cost of being more susceptible to whatever the planet is doing to you. So some kind of negative consequence there would be, I think, really cool. Either you're more easily feared, or you're starting to assimilate. If you're a copy already, maybe you start to transform faster. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about the copies yet at that time, but I think it fits really nice. So I think that's the thing that could be cool. And I always love, Jake and I, of course, love our monster hunting, harvesting parts, and there's a good horror aspect of like something just attaching to you and So yeah, that's it. The only other thing I had was potentially vehicles, because I didn't know how much we'd want to be traveling across the planet. So that could be something else you could have fun with, but I didn't flesh that out too much. Yeah.
All right.
Kick him out.
Yeah.
Ban him.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Or was it a good idea and we're taking it and we're getting rid of it?
We're taking it.
Stealing it. We already said stealing means it's good, right?
All right.
You won't be here to defend yourself, so. Perfect.
Nope. I'll let you guys make fun of me after that. As a copy myself, I have to go perish in the cycle.
Oh.
I'll come back for the next one.
Next copy next time.
Dan number 2.
Next copy next time. So, yes. I love you guys. This is so much fun. I can't wait to watch the rest of this later and see how much you make fun of me. So, make it good.
Oh, yeah, because we're really good at that.
It's suddenly going to turn into a 2-hour episode.
Exactly, right?
Roasting Dan.
All right. You just got to get a still of me, like a really bad picture.
With shocked face.
All right. Yeah. I always like the... Oh my gosh, you guys, I definitely gotta go. I can't even think. Bigfoot. The Bigfoot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Have fun creating
Okay.
horrible and wonderful items. You guys are the best. Farewell. Comment below what item you would add to this world. Good night.
Bye.
All right. I have my list.
You have your
Things to complain about, Dan.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding.
So we got item 1. That's the environmental suit. They can take augments from both mechanical and biomechanical. Now,
Did you kind of want to hit on a little bit what we was talking about before we started recording for the night? And I told you, it's like every time I thought of an item, I was like, well, that works a lot better when you have with like a video game. We were talking about the lava pool and then getting, the suit that lets you go in the lava pool. But like when you're playing in Metroid, you see that and you can tell by looking at the map and everything. It's like, okay, I need to get through here. Like you have that visual reminder burned into your brain or whatever. Whereas in a tabletop, it's like there's a lava pool over there. It gets mentioned once and then you don't have all those visual cues to tell you like this is important. Now I have been wondering through this whole recording session we've been doing how well it would work if when you're starting this game and told the players this is a Metroidvania we're playing, you're going to be looking for items that gain you access to other areas. So then they have it in their mind, oh, lava pool. maybe there's an item for that. It's super cold and chilly over there. Maybe I can get something for my suit, things like that. I feel like you're still super limited, but
Well,
there are like ways to overcome.
Well, in the TTRPG community, you would have things like dungeons and mega dungeon, traditional dungeon crawls. If you tell your players, this is a dungeon crawl, then they're going to understand, okay, there probably are going to be switchbacks. There's not going to be this and that. We're going to have to make a map, that type of thing, or at least reveal a map. And that's usually fine enough for in the TTRPG community of getting people to pay attention and be like, well, this goes here and that goes there, and solving puzzles, because that's what dungeon crawls were. And when you say we're going into a dungeon, most of the time today people will think, okay, it's basically a linear dungeon type of thing. But if you say you're going to do a dungeon crawl, there's a mindset that is very Metroidvania. It's pre-Metroidvania. It was before Metroidvania was a thing. There was the dungeon crawl, not just going into a dungeon, but the dungeon crawl. And you had things like mega dungeons, which this would qualify as. This particular adventure with the size of the Super Metroid map right there, or if they want to kind of merge maps or change maps around and merge them together type of thing, then it definitely would qualify as a mega dungeon. So if you tell them, hey, this is a pretty big dungeon crawl, then they know, oh, okay, we're going to be facing traps. We're going to need to be prepared. We're going to be going in and looking for things that go other places. Like something could be over here that goes over there. And so from a non-video game perspective, that's pretty much how you would do that. You would set up that expectation.
Yeah, okay. Because I was thinking, like, when you play the video game, and you see, like, I was just playing Monster Sanctuary recently, and it's like Pokemon with Metroidvania. It's a side scroller. It's pretty fun till a certain point, but anyway, it was very clear just having that video game experience. It's like, okay, I'm going to get something that allows me to jump higher, whether it's a double jump or just a straight up higher jump. Like, those jumps were very clear. It's like, I will come back to this later when I can jump higher. Whereas if you give that to TTRPG players, it's like, oh, it's too high. They're going to be like, okay, can I throw the dwarf while he has a rope and a grappling hook? And then, get the, they're trying to come up with these creative solutions to work around. Like, we'll break your Metroidvania.
Okay, hold on. It cut out for a second. So,
Oh.
Creative solutions. So the idea of what you were saying was creative solutions can break your Metroidvania? Because I caught those two.
Yeah, basically that's what I was getting at. Because it seems, in the Metroidvania, obviously, you're very limited to what you're programmed that you can do, versus a TTRPG, it's whatever you can think of. So, probably only so many ways to get around the lava pool where you have to go down in it, but, the high jumps and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, if you make lava like it actually is, ain't no one going through the lava pool, but...
Okay, very hot. Or the acid. There was acid in Super Metroid, too, so... And it might have just been really hot water.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was lava.
Well, I think that if they've got a goal and there's no reason for them to try and go up that way, except to explore, then they're not necessarily going to, until they start to think about, well, this is a Metroidvania. And frankly, if they start to break it, then that's not necessarily something that's terrible, but it is something that changes the feel. Though there are things that can be done, especially if you're starting them. This one doesn't seem like it has a strong, they're going to gain like 5 levels during this type of situation. This is much more of a, we're going to do this. This is going to be like we're going in and out if we can. If we can't, we're going to be in fact, the majority of their time exploring will probably be between mission 1 and mission 2. Because then, once they figure out what's happening, they're going to want to leave. They're not going to want to stay. They're going to be like, kill it with fire! Type of situation.
Get me out of here!
So, I don't think that the upgrades being there and not gotten is going to cause too much of a trouble. Because if they get somewhere that the upgrade was meant to get them easier, but they have to do a longer time to do it, that's a longer time where they can become a copy. So, especially if they start to get reckless before they understand things. If they start to get reckless and they are they're not being careful enough during their enemy encounters because they think, oh, well, he died and he came back. So what am I worried about? I mean, I'm going to get back up. But if they don't understand the problem with that, that's kind of on them. You know, if you're playing fast and loose with your character, that's on you. You shouldn't play fast and loose in any setting with your character, because not if you want to keep them around meaningfully. So that is something that is a problem for that will become less of a problem if they're playing like their characters would, or at least I don't think it would be.
Makes sense.
All right, and you had no suggestions on your items over here. I saw that.
Well, because that's why. Because I was struggling with that. I was, years and thousands of hours of Metroidvanias, trying to break out of it. I mean, the suit would have been probably, if I was making one, the suit would be my first try, because I feel like okay, here's this harsh environment you very clearly cannot walk in. Like, that would be a lot easier to work with. So, also underwater exploration. Like, here's a suit that just lets you breathe underwater. So that's cool. If there's... Well, we already talked about the suit starting with the power that you could use to charge things. Or maybe that's something you find.
Well, that's something we could put in there on item 2, universal power cell.
I like that. And maybe it's because I like the ghost ship that I got spooked so much by Super Metroid finding an old, whether it's a research station set up there or another old ship. It's just all out of juice. So of course, it's all dark and spooky in there. And when you get power to it, it reveals a lot of lore and, the secrets that you're hunting for. But as far as traversal items, well, I guess the suit you can count as traversal, but I'm thinking like the grapple beam and the different weapons that open different types of doors. So that works in Metroidvania because it's a key for doors and a new weapon that you get to use. I also think that's where the ice beam was just mega brain move on Nintendo part. Like, that was a new weapon and a traversal tool, because you could freeze the flying guys and use them as steps, and like that's how you got to new areas. Ooh, what if we find something that lets them see the ghosts? Either something they wear that lets them see it, or it does something to the area around them that, like if somebody were solid but invisible and you sprinkle dust on them and the dust forms over them, something like that for the ghosts, that something happens in the air that reveals them. But I don't know how that would work. The visor would be the easy one if we're gonna have Samus suits.
Like an advanced visor module.
Like, you could get it thinking you're gonna scan for something else, like either some power signals from some equipment that it's given off, or some kind of germ or something, and then you end up seeing the ghosts. Which would be interesting, because then they could be kind of... You wouldn't be able to see all their facial features. They wouldn't be a blob, but more silhouette-y kind of looking. So they'd be a little harder to read on what they're trying to tell you. Actually, probably, I could do a little doodle right here. You just kind of see the basic shape like that. Yeah, but there'd be like no facial detail, right? Just, it would be very clear that it was a human or something human shaped.
Right. And we'll probably have to leave stuff. I'll probably have to put several of those, like the morph ball, the cryo beam, flamethrower, advanced visor module. Those will probably have to go under the environmental suit.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Also, that idea with the ghosts wouldn't work with no facial stuff, because we needed to be able to recognize the dude as the copy, remember? Yep. Yeah. So, or maybe you see the ghosts and they're hard to make out, and then you get something that makes them more clear.
Yeah, so the advanced visor module could be an early upgrade for, there may only be a couple of them, but they could be an early upgrade for the power suit. That way, when you meet Benji, you may have, even if you meet him on the way to the second, on or during the path to the second mission, which is kind of where we have him, you can see his face and then see his face later in one of the psychic echoes, maybe they might be called.
Not bad. Kind of like it. You know, I was making fun of the magic space goop in Metroid Prime. But now I'm thinking about it, I feel like it was something that was corrupting the planet, if I remember right. Making it do weird things, so you could... that could be how this planet got to how it is. Phazon.
Oh.
Let's see. What is Phazon? As coined by the space pirates, formerly referred to as the Great Poison by the Chozo, is a highly radioactive substance originating from the planet Phase. How creative. Known for its extreme mutagenic and energy-producing properties. Though at first glance it seems to be only a mineral substance, it is more of a superorganism capable of interstellar propagation accomplished by the assimilation and destruction of its host planet's ecosystem. Did you get all that?
It sounds similar to what we're doing with the Eldritch Creature, though the Eldritch Creature actually is making its own planet, basically.
Yeah, which I think is cooler.
All right, so we got the universal power cell. There are a limited supply, though, so they're going to have to pick and choose what gets powered and what doesn't, and take power cells with them and so on. So, and I think each of the suits having an auto map module could be an in-world way of showing that there's this kind of ability to know about what kind of, like if there's a hallway coming up past the door or something, or if you're expecting something larger. You know, it'll allow them to auto map their... They don't have to write a hand map, basically. Alright, so what's the third item going to be? Let's see.
Do we want a traversal type of item, like grappling hooks, or high jump boots, or speed boots? Gonna break through some walls?
Well, that's kind of the tough thing.
Something for the suit to give it stupid strength. So if they needed to move something heavy out of the way.
I don't know. That's kind of the situation with the Metroid theming, is that most everything you get is for the suit. So...
Yeah, for sure.
Like the universal power cell isn't, but I mean technically it kind of is because you're using
power bombs.
Yeah,
power bombs are kind of like power cells, like what you use them in some of the games. It's how you charge stuff up.
Oh, I don't know. It would be fun to give them a big, if you give them too strong of a bomb, then players...
Well, no, I'm just saying that our power cells we made are kind of like the power bombs. So we've been following suit very well.
Okie dokie.
Let's not give the players a nuke.
They've already got a space station reactor that they could theoretically overload to pseudo destroy this creature. I guess we're saying that it's a dwarf planet that's been building around a space station, so its core, its brain that it took over is there, so it could definitely hinder it quite a bit. Maybe knock it out long enough and off course enough that it falls into a sun or something. You could kill it with a sun. You can kill most things with a sun.
It's true. A translator? Like if we're finding alien ships with their own data entry thingies that you can't read, or... So when we originally started talking about that, I was just thinking, okay, maybe you get it and you have your own little AI tablet that it just takes time to translate it. And that could be like, as you get through certain story beats, it's like, hey, this thing's done now. Here's your lore dump.
It would be good if there was something that was interacting with Mother, the Mother Syndrome, or the Mother Synapse, like that. That, like passkeys, or we've already mentioned passcodes and stuff, but those are non-tangible. So an item that is tangible, I mean, there's always ID cards and stuff, but I suppose you could get the universal ID card or the master key card when you get down to the lower level that lets you unlock things that you couldn't before up midway or near the top as you're trying to get out.
What if it was like a late game item? When you start figuring out more of what's going on with the planet. What if you got something to the monsters we talked about at the beginning, that take you away? What if some creatures and this would work for the false sense of security dungeon ship we were talking about with easy monsters in it. So what if some monsters on the planet were real and some weren't? Excuse me. And then late game, you find a weapon or something you can attach to your suit that juices up your gun. That when you shoot it at the monsters, like if it's a fake one, it dissipates it. So you know it's fake. Or would that be too much? Make it too easy?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to have, like, on the way out, because on the way down, you'll probably get more of the psychological stuff. On the way out, trying to get out to the place that you want to get out to, if you did not discover that Aaron Hale is a copy, then that pilot, you're going to communicate to the pilot, hey, we got to get off this planet, it's trying to eat us, and you don't know the full thing. Well, then Aaron Hale is going, as that copy, is going to communicate that back to Mother and that means that Mother's going to be throwing more real stuff at you. So if you had an augmentation specifically for that, to differentiate between the perceived and the real, that wouldn't hurt. Because I think the idea is that the AI Mother and the actual physical brain that was taking over aren't working correctly together. So the machine part is basically answering you and doing what it's supposed to, whereas the mother brain itself is taken over and is communicating and controlling all these different things that are happening as part of the biological portion. And that's how you're able to get information from the AI without the flesh portion being able to control it. So it's tricky to try and pull off. Let's see.
And if it's a weapon you get on the way out, it again is in line with Metroid. Like Super Metroid, you get your supercharged cannon, because when Metroid dies on you, you get all its power, right? And you're supercharged. And that happened in Dread also. I don't think it happened in the Prime games. But boy, did it happen in Dread, alright. You just, like I said, you went nuts at the end of that one.
Okay, so we could do it where there's this external overcharge burst. It's and we can have it so that it's not locked down to one person's suit, that it can't actually fully integrate into the suit. It has to be kind of put in with kind of jacked in, and that way, if something happens and some other person needs to burst it, like they've got a higher charge on their power cell or something like that, they can burst it instead, and that'll let them disperse or disrupt. That was the word. Disrupt the psionic illusions of the organism, like the psionic influence, for an area and a time, because that could possibly let them explore other places too, if there was an illusory wall, or if like a psionic block was there, and they burst it out. Yep.
What like that? I was also thinking, you talking about that temporary burst. That could be a item you got earlier, and that's how you can justify or explain the ghosts just being there temporarily. So it's just like, basically you do something with your suit and poof, it just makes a small area of effect that goes out and just temporarily reveals the ghosts. That way, when they just have their brief, come here, couple seconds, and then poof, they're gone. It'd be kind of neat. Hard part would be to know when to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that does make it replayable, because if you tell them, like if they play through it, and then you tell them, you guys got the bad ending, and they're like, what? The bad ending? What does that mean? It means that you spread the virus because of things that happen. You want to play again? You can get a different ending. And then,
Get them.
hook them in.
Hook them in.
Because you could always say, well, no, we did it in this. Yeah, but did that actually happen, or was that a separate timeline? Because, wibbly wobbly, timely-wimely stuff. Also, that's not something that you see a lot in TTRPGs. The idea of replayability with the same characters. You do replayability with different characters. You can play the same adventure with different characters. And they could with this too, but you could even play with the same characters and get a different result, depending on where you explored and where you didn't. And as long as you tell them there's multiple endings to this dungeon, and the story can end in multiple ways. So if you guys don't like the end of the adventure that you get this time, you can always get another ending next time.
I had toyed with the idea of doing, I don't know if you call it replayability, but it was a campaign I wanted to run, and I think the idea was the party had some kind of mage with them that would basically just go to the dungeons with them and then stay outside the dungeon, but it was some kind of time wizard. So I forgot the limitations, but like if the party died in the dungeon, the wizard would rewind time, but things would change. So like they could go in this dungeon and the whole party could get wiped, and it's like, okay, rewind. I don't know if, I can't remember if somebody had to live or not and get back to the time wizard and tell him to rewind time, but he could only go so far, was another thing. But yeah, the idea was everybody keeps their characters, they get another shot, but things shuffle around in the dungeons. Like different things happen because he's was like kind of mixing timelines or something. I can't remember, but the idea was it was going to be high risk dungeons and you were probably going to die, but you could try again and again and get different experiences each time you went in.
And you can do that with a time thing, a time mage. It makes it interesting. It does make it interesting because the assumption is that you're taking in the assumption is that your character is also taking its past experience with it. So you could bump into a problem in one sense where people would just go and grind the first floor until they got to level whatever, and then steamrolled the rest of the floors. But if you're using especially if you're using experience and stuff, you can use milestones to head that off. Like each floor is going to give you this. You can't just keep doing the same floor over and over, which that can be headed off. So you can work it through milestones, but that's a way that in a real adventuring group would solve the problem. Is like, well, let's rewind time. If you have that level of time magic, it'd be highly expensive. You could do it. All right.
Well, that was the idea that eventually shifted over into the mushroom campaign, because I just wanted a way for them to go do high risk stuff without the worry of losing their character, unless it was a party type. That was the idea. Okay, you might not survive the dungeon, but you will still have your character for the next one. Because, the mushroom people could just regrow, and you shuffle up your stats. That ended up working out very good. You had to re-roll your stats, and the re-roll was riskier. Like, you could get higher, but you could also get way lower, too, than what 5e normally allowed. But based on how you died, you got some weird ability too. Just a little fun thing.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Rewarding failure in the right way.
It is. It is like, as long as somebody could still bring them back, they could come back. But then it was still a gamble with the stats. Like our barbarian came back with, what did he get? He had like stupidly low intelligence when it was like a 4, because it was 5e, and what we did, and I decided when you regrow and reroll your stats, you just go down the list. Start at your first stat, roll a d20. That is what you get. So if you roll 20, you get 20 plus whatever other things you get. If you roll a 1, you get a 1. So there was potential some penalty for regrowing, but that's where the achievement points came in. I was talking about earlier about how they could bolster their home base. It gave them some regrowing benefits, which raised that minimum. It's like, okay, you can't roll below 4, you can't roll below 6. There was different tiers they could get, so encourage them to explore and try new things and
invest in the base.
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie. Well, we've got some here, and I'm going to put one final note in here under the power cell. So, just in case someone needs to kamikaze, they could set off their own power cell. I'm taking them with me.
That's their power bomb.
Yeah.
They just get one.
Yeah, one power bomb. I mean, you could technically do more than one, but the idea is that the universal power cells, because you're stranded, are really limited. So you don't want to be wasting those. You need them to power up a room, or kind of rigger-majig the room power to explore it, and stuff like that. So you don't want to be wasting them.
Right.
Okie dokie. So, looks like we've got terrifying technological treasures. They're not all that terrifying, unless you get fully assimilated with those those biomechanical things, and you go full into it, because then you may be taking the planet with you regardless of that one. You got to be very specific. I imagine that the biomechanical ones are from more of the alien side that we were talking about, and then the more mechanical ones were more from the human side, is how I kind of envision that. But I don't think that going full Monster Hunter in this campaign in this particular game is a good idea, because that's the eldritch stuff that you're trying to jack into your suit, yo. Not necessarily a good idea. Alright. That means we're to Skrat's final question. We're done with Kane's conversations. Now it's time for Skrat's final question.
So it was, if you could introduce one house rule to every TTRPG, what it would be, but like your house rule's probably an official rule in some other games. So what's a rule that you'd like to use across multiple TTRPGs?
A rule I like to use across all RPGs is
or several, doesn't have to be all of them.
Well, I always do something along the lines of what Open Legend does with success, degrees of success, in the sense of failure but the story progresses. That's the one I was looking for. Failure but the story progresses. Because
kind of the Powered by the Apocalypse kind of thing.
Well,
and how that works.
Something like that. I'm not sure if Powered by the Apocalypse came before Open Legend or not. I think it might have. But Open Legend phrased it along the lines of, if you're not going to bog down progression in the story just because someone keeps failing a roll over and over again. They may not succeed in the way they want to, or there may be consequences, but the story progresses. That story may be that they die, but the story progresses. So,
yeah,
I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. I played Dim Day Red. That was a Powered by Apocalypse system, but it had a lot on top of it. And if I'm not mistaken, the Pub 2 games, it's the example I was given was you're trying to hit a zombie with your sword. If you pass, you hit the zombie with your sword. The lesser degree was you hit the zombie with the sword and you drop the sword. And the other one was you hit the zombie with the sword and he hits you back at the same time. Something like that. Like that would be the failure, but you still hit him, but you took a damage in the process. But like you technically still succeeded, and you always do what you attempt to do or something like that. So I need to play more of those. I want to try some more Pub 2 games.
Yeah.
Preferably one that does not have a ton of stuff added on top of it. As cool as that game was, it was just a lot when you're new to PUBG. So
yeah, I like the failure, but the story progresses a little bit better than you always succeed at what you try, because there's more bad stuff that can happen with failure, but the story progresses, than there is with, like what you mentioned there with the sword. You could miss and get hit in when failure and the story progresses, or get captured or something like that, depending on what you're doing. And I think I like that. If you're going to have something like Open Legend has exploding dice, where you can roll really high, you could get a pretty high result. So in order to balance that, I think you actually need something more severe, like a failure, but the story progresses, instead of a success in the story, but the story, there's still a consequence. So it's a slight difference, but I do think the difference can make a difference. All right.
I don't do it. Well, I haven't really run a game in a spoiled. People have been running games for me, but what I would like to see more of is ICRPG's turn order outside of combat. How it's constantly going around the table, like even in social situations or exploration or whatever you're doing. It's always just it goes. The book tells you, it uses a physical table as an example. You clockwise from the GM. So like this, we start our to your left, go around the table. But if you're in a Discord call, however you want to do that.
Yeah.
But the idea is every situation, everybody always gets a turn. Which sounds awkward, but having been in 2 ICRPG games, it's like that works really good. Like even in the social situations when you're trying to get clues, interrogate people, everybody gets, even if they decide like I really have nothing to contribute, they can just go on. But it does, I feel like, balances the party out, because you always have somebody who talks more just in person. They talk more and then the other person kind of gets quiet. This kind of levels that out a little bit more. So
yeah, I think that I definitely have come to like, when I run games, that before anything before we actually start role playing and stuff like that, everybody rolls initiative, and then that's the order we'll follow when things happen. So pre-rolling initiative.
That's pretty good. I was that's one thing I like about World Shapers, that one guy's game. That's all. It's not browser based, but all of his stuff is just a website. You can go look at it. Like, he has his character builders and sheets and stuff on there. Your initiative is a static stat. It is not something you roll. It's based off your stats, but it is a set value. So when he starts a game, like you were saying, he gets everybody's score, their initiative score, and then that's just it. Every combat, you're in the same spot. So the fast person is always fast.
Yep. Well, that's our answer to Skrat's final question. And we're finishing up a little earlier than we usually do, but not by much. So we're still figuring ways to tighten this up and get this working around. Either way.
I feel like we used to get done at like 11 or 11:30.
Well, I think what's happening is that because we're discussing things more in detail, the details start to matter. We're talking much less nebulously than we used to. So if you like those more nebulous chats, we can always go back to them next year after we finish this kind of rotation of stuff. Or if you really want them, like if you really want them back, then you can let me know and we'll see what we can do. But that's up to you viewers. So, I think we're done with Skrat's final question. And I guess we did keep Dan's little thing from the very beginning. So, if you didn't watch and you're just now coming to the end of Skrat's final question, you'll have to go back all the way to the front and rewatch to get what the comment was now. Because you skipped the intro, didn't you? Shame, shame, shame. Alright. That means we're to the outro, which we hope you have enjoyed. Do check out Quests and Quills, which is who we've been shouting out this time. It's got 1,730 subscribers. We can probably get him up to 2,000, maybe. We'll see. And also, check out Skrat from a Squirrel Plays on YouTube exclusively. He's making that TTRPG and storytelling and stuff like that. Check out Avenue Studios at avenuestudios.media with all of their different links and so on. And then in planarcrossroads.com or the IOPC.com. Either one of those will work. And it will let you get to our webpage where we have all the links to the things we do, whether that's YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Subscribestar, PayPal, Locals, Patreon, any of those. You can check them out. And if you do support us, you do get access to these things, should we make them up for everybody so that they can get done. I think that's everything from us. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Morph ball would be cool.